Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden danger that's present on every single flight, but it's one that most of us never even think about. So, let's dive right in. So, what is it? What's this invisible risk we're talking about? Take a moment. What's the first thing that pops into your head when you think about aviation safety?
You're probably thinking of something mechanical, right? Maybe a complex system failing or an engine issue. But nope, that's not it. The most pervasive risk factor, it isn't in the hardware at all.
It's in the human element. The danger we're talking about today is fatigue. And I don't just mean feeling a bit sleepy. We're talking about a level of cognitive impairment that can seriously, and I mean seriously, affect judgment and performance.
All right, that brings us to our first section, the silent killer. We're going to look at just how fatigue becomes this invisible threat, not just to the safety of a flight, but to the quality of the entire airline operation. This quote here, it really gets to the heart of the matter. You see, in aviation, safety and quality are basically the same thing. They're completely intertwined. A tiny compromise in quality on the ground, maybe because someone was exhausted, doesn't just stay on the ground. It has a way of traveling. And that brings us to a really crucial idea. This is not just a pilot problem. It's a systemic issue. Think of it like a chain of fatigue that links every single person involved in getting an aircraft safely off the ground and back down again. Of course, the first link we all think about is the flight crew. It's obvious, right? Pilots and cabin crew have to be sharp. They're the most visible part of the safety chain, the ones we see. But they are far from the only ones. Now let's step out onto the tarmac, in the middle of the night. Picture the aircraft maintenance technicians. These folks are often working grueling hours under immense pressure to get planes ready. For them, fatigue could mean missing a tiny hairline crack or not tightening a bolt to the exact specification. The stakes are just incredibly high. So who organizes all of this incredibly complex maintenance work? Well, that's where something called a CAMO comes in, a Continuing Airworthiness Management Organization. You can think of it as the brain of the aircraft's entire maintenance life. They don't turn the wrenches themselves, but they create the plans and keep the records that ensure a plane is 100% safe to fly. And this is where that chain of fatigue goes even deeper, all the way into the back office. We're talking about dispatchers, crew schedulers, risk analysts. I love this phrase here: the pilot consumes an error. A fatigued planner makes a small miscalculation. Hours later, at 35,000 feet, the pilot is dealing with the consequences, and they might not even know where it came from. Okay, so if the problem is this complex, this interconnected web, how in the world do you fight it? Well, this brings us to what we're calling the AI shield. We're going to look at how artificial intelligence is becoming a powerful new tool for managing this risk across the entire system. So how does this AI shield actually work? Let's break it down. For crews, it's about intelligent rostering. This isn't just about checking a box for minimum rest time. AI can analyze data to predict fatigue hotspots, building schedules that work with human biology, not against it. Then, for maintenance, it's about optimizing tasks. The AI can figure out which jobs require the most focus and assign them to the technician who's at their sharpest. And finally, in the office, it's about efficiency. By automating all the routine, repetitive work, you free up the brainpower of your planners for the really critical decisions that demand human attention. And what you see here is that AI's impact isn't just in one silo. It touches every part of the operation. Flight ops, maintenance, safety, ground ops. It creates this comprehensive layer of protection across the entire airline. You're fighting a systemic problem with a systemic solution, strengthening every single link in that chain of fatigue. But here's the thing. AI isn't some magic one-size-fits-all solution. This is especially true in a place like India, which is facing its own unique challenges, like a pretty big shortage of pilots and engineers right now. So let's explore why a custom-built approach is so important there. Yeah, you can't just take an AI model built for a European airline and drop it into the Indian aviation scene. It just won't work. Most of those generic systems only look at crew schedules. A system for India needs to be holistic. It has to cover operations, maintenance, and the back office. Plus, a Western model doesn't get the local context. And, crucially, it means sending sensitive operational data overseas. A sovereign AI keeps that vital information right where it belongs, in India. And this quote from Abhishek Singh at the Ministry of Electronics and IT, it just drives the whole point home.
This isn't just about being more efficient, it's about strategic independence. When you rely on someone else's system, you create a dependency, a vulnerability that could one day be used against you.
So, as we start to land this discussion, it is absolutely essential to put this tech in perspective. AI is a game-changing tool, for sure, but it is not a cure-all. It's about making people smarter and more effective, not replacing them. And this right here is the key takeaway. If you remember one thing, let it be this. No matter how brilliant our algorithms get, the final responsibility for safety will always rest in human hands. AI can point out the risks, but it's people who have to make the right call. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. We are building these incredibly intelligent tools to help us. The real challenge for all of us is to make sure that as our technology gets smarter, our own wisdom, our skills, and our oversight get smarter right along with it.